One Saturday in 2000, unsuspecting moviegoers at a Chicago theater were handed a free bucket of popcorn and asked to wait around for a survey. But the popcorn was wretched. It was 5 days old and so stale that it actually squeaked when people chewed it. Some people got their stale popcorn in a medium bucket. Others got a tub so large it looked like a swimming pool. The researchers weighed the containers after the film and found a staggering anomaly. The group with the large buckets ate 53% more of the squeaky popcorn than those with the medium buckets. If you were observing this from a distance, you might jump to a common conclusion. You'd likely assume the people eating massive amounts of 5-day-old food were simply gluttons, diagnosing the issue as a flawed people problem rooted in a lack of self-control. But the equation was unyielding. Bigger container equals more eating. People didn't consume more because their character changed. They consumed more because the container grew. This proves that we are often witnessing a situation problem rather than a character flaw. Shrinking the bucket changes the behavior without needing to change the person. This popcorn trap reveals a deep biological conflict. Our brains operate with two independent systems at work at all times, a rational side and an emotional side, and they are almost always in tension. Think of your rational side as a rider and your emotional side as a 6-ton elephant. The rider holds the reins and seems to be the leader, planning for the long term. But the elephant is instinctive and seeks immediate comfort. Anytime these two disagree on a direction, the rider is going to lose. He's simply overmatched. We often try to force change through sheer willpower, pulling the reins until the elephant submits. But willpower is an inexhaustible resource. Eventually, the rider becomes tired, the elephant takes over, and we end up right back where we started. Lasting behavior change requires moving beyond brute force. It requires a strategy that aligns 3 specific variables: directing the rider, motivating the elephant, and shaping the path. The rider has a specific weakness. He is a wheel spinner. When the rational brain lacks clear direction, it falls into analysis paralysis. Observers often misinterpret this state of overthinking as stubborn resistance to change. Take a public health effort in West Virginia aimed at improving the local diet. The broad mandate to eat healthier was far too vague for the rational brain to process. Faced with infinite choices about carbs, fats, and vitamins, the population's decision-making simply stalled. To break the stalemate, researchers provided a crystal-clear script. They didn't talk about nutrition. They asked citizens to make one specific move: switch from whole milk to 1% milk. The campaign was punchy and direct. They didn't use abstract data. They told shoppers that a single glass of whole milk contains the same amount of saturated fat as 5 sticks of bacon. The impact was measurable and immediate. In just weeks, the market share for low-fat milk jumped from 18% to 41%. Because the instruction was so specific, the behavior stuck. By providing a hyper-specific direction, the researchers eliminated the rider's tendency to agonize over options. When the rational brain knows exactly how to act, hesitation turns into movement. The second challenge is that self-control is finite. When we see someone fail to change, we often label them as lazy. In reality, the rider has simply run out of the mental fuel required to drag an unmotivated emotional elephant down a new path. Consider John Stegner, an executive who needed to convince his massive company to centralize its purchasing to save millions. The company was set in its ways, and most leaders didn't believe the opportunity for savings even existed. Most managers would have built a 12-tab spreadsheet to make the business case, but data only appeals to the rider. It might provide understanding, but it provides zero emotional momentum to the elephant. Stegner took a different approach. He assigned an intern to physically collect a specimen of every single type of work glove used in every one of the company's factories. The intern discovered total chaos. The company was purchasing 424 different kinds of gloves. One factory was paying $5 for a pair, while another was paying $17 for the exact same glove. Stegner tagged all 424 gloves with their prices and dumped them in a massive pile on the boardroom table. He invited the presidents to visit this glove shrine. They stood there with their mouths gaping, looking at the physical evidence of their own lack of coordination. Stegner used a visceral see-feel change moment. By making his colleagues feel the absurdity of the problem, he sparked the emotional drive of the elephant and secured a mandate for change that spreadsheets never could have earned. The final pillar brings us back to that Chicago theater. If you want people to eat less, you don't change their personality, you change the diameter of the bucket. This is shaping the path, altering the environment to make the desired behavior the easiest option. Brian Wansink's research found that this equation held true regardless of the moviegoer's hunger or their location. Because the physical situation was modified, the subject's internal debate was bypassed. Human behavior tends to follow the path of least resistance, much like water moving through a newly carved trench. Shaping the path serves as the behavioral tiebreaker. By designing an environment that supports your goal, you eliminate the friction of psychological willpower and make the switch much more likely to occur. Most of us fail to change because we rely on iron discipline. We try to force our behavior through willpower, rather than aligning our internal and external forces. When these forces are out of balance, the results are predictable. Guiding the rider without motivating the elephant leads to understanding without action. Motivating the elephant without guiding the rider leads to passion without direction. But the pattern for success is universal. Whether overhauling a corporate culture, shifting a societal norm, or changing your morning routine, to make a switch that sticks, you must stop fighting yourself. Script the exact moves for the rider, spark a visceral feeling for the elephant, and shrink the popcorn bucket until success becomes the easiest path available.